into cyber. I know that you did a politics and philosophy degree. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So not really the normal route into cyber, but obviously one that worked for you. So how did you manage to get into this industry?
So I always had an interest, but I never, even when I was a teenager, I remember liking everything those tech related, but it
Yeah.
just never occurred to me as a degree. I think it was after I finished my master's and I just spent what I called my gap year, just training martial arts, that I thought it would be nice to get into this.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to do it. I don't have the technical background. So I applied to the company where I am right now,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
they were looking for an operations assistant, and they're a startup. And I thought, well, might be a good place. You could start or different position, and because there's some growing, you could move around. And
Yeah.
I applied for that job, operations assistant, and I got it. It all happened so fast, and once I was in the company, I saw a bit the structure, what the company was, what they were working on. And I think at that stage, it was really early days. So we didn't really have developers. We had a couple of people in the tech side. I think we're 7 in total. Okay. And half of the team was, business, not much development team really.
Yeah.
So I spoke to our CTO and I said I was interested to have a career in cybersecurity, that I don't have the technical background, but he was open for a discussion, and it was perfect timing. We were just hiring developers. The product, we're starting to work on the product, and that's where we started doing QA. So QA was the way to get me into it, and I've been doing that since the first release, really. Wow. It's been, I wouldn't say it's been difficult, it's been challenging in a good way. Like obviously, you're learning a lot of stuff that I just didn't know about many years ago.
Overwhelming,
yeah, it's been overwhelming. And I've just been working with the development team a lot. They've been pretty much mentoring me along the way. And now, like 2 years ago, it's different. I have developed a lot for sure. So it was all thanks to the company as well. They were willing to mentor me and, guide me through the whole process. And also the fact that everything was like quite fresh. There's no QA, no process there. It was a good time for me to get involved and learn, and just make my mistakes and learn from them.
Right. So, and it sounds like joining a startup in a way was sort of like an apprenticeship for you, like you were learning on the job rather than going into it with the knowledge.
Yeah, definitely. And I still remember I applied not only to startups, but I applied to other companies, like bigger names. And startups they're more keen to take someone new who doesn't have much experience. And since then, I just feel like if someone asks me, should I go for a big company or startup, based on my experience, I would always choose a startup.
Yeah, I would as well. I feel like you learn so many different things, and you're not kind of looking in one mindset as the big companies sometimes do. I think you get to and think about so much.
Yeah, and you have to multitask. Like you have one title, but you actually wear many hats. So
you do, and you have to be so agile because it changes every day, and you just have to go with the flow of it. And it is a really good way to learn. I think I completely agree with that. Kind of learning on the job. You mentioned like the challenges that have come with that. What are those challenges specifically? What is it that you've kind of had to overcome or struggled with in your time learning?
So I would say for me, especially because, like I said, my background is so different. One of the things I still struggle with is basically confidence. One of the chats that we had a few months ago with LT Harper was about having that imposter syndrome, and it is true. It happens a lot. It's there.
It's always there. Everyone I speak to about it always says that in this industry they have imposter syndrome.
Yeah, so a lot of it is just me doubting myself and my skills because I'm surrounded with people who have 10 plus years of experience.
Yeah.
And they have to spend some time teaching me how to do some things. And then I start thinking like, if only I knew everything.
Oh no,
But
wouldn't that be good?
yeah, so this is one thing I struggle with because I'm usually a very confident person, but when there's an issue at work, for example, as a tester, you find a bug and some of them are quite complex. And I start thinking, is it me not doing the test properly, or have the very experienced developers actually made a mistake?
Yeah.
So that's something I struggle with. And that's something that, I've shared with my manager, like this is a problem I'm having. And he's always reassuring me that it's mistakes will happen, but at the same time you have to a lot of that change has to be done internally. So they gave me all the support, but I do struggle with that a lot. I would say that's the main obstacle I've had. It's self-doubt for sure.
Yeah. And how are you overcoming that?
There's just days where I'm just like, you know what, if I make a mistake, they'll tell me and I'll learn from that.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is how they react. Obviously, if I was in a company where I made a mistake and I take all the blame and I'm told I'm not good enough and all that, obviously that's not great.
No, that's
as means you shouldn't be working there.
Yeah, no, leave.
But it's the opposite. They just keep telling me, like, you can bring this up to us. Don't worry about it. We're here to help. All the support.
It's a lesson learned, isn't it? When you make a mistake, you just learn how to do something else. So
yeah. So, but I'm very stubborn with myself. So I always have that little voice in the background. It's like, yeah, but what if this and this? So how I deal with it is, I just go for it. I trust the team. If not, I just need to. I think it's more like accepting that I will make mistakes and no one's perfect. And it's okay to make mistakes. Exactly. I've got a supportive team around me. So that's how I'm dealing with it. It's not easy for sure. I wouldn't say I had this before anywhere else. So obviously it's in a way it's quite new to me. So yes, I'm constantly wrestling with this idea that it's okay not to be perfect, or that just have to accept that you're less experienced and that you make mistakes in the way.
And as time goes on, you'll become the other person on the other end of someone else feeling
exactly
you. So it's just a cycle, isn't it, that you'll only improve in that self-confidence as it goes on.
Also the product, what we have, what we do is very complex even for the most technical people. So you just start saying like, oh, actually, it's not just me.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why these sort of conversations are good, because you understand that everyone does have their struggles and their challenges, but it's just about how they overcome that and kind of change that perspective. So
usually don't really talk about it unless someone asks me, because it's one of those things that it's not that I'm embarrassed, but I guess sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm a bit ashamed. I feel like this, that I'm being so stubborn with myself.
It's just not something you would just usually like come out with if someone's like, oh, how's your day going? You're not going to be like, oh, well, I'm really struggling, I just don't know how to do this, are you? So it is to share these things.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing I really like about the company is that if there's an issue, they want to talk about it. Yeah. You can bring it up and it's just have a conversation about these things. It's very important to everyone to keep, if there's someone feeling unhappy about something, we don't just sit there and just keep it to ourselves. So that's exactly why, it's very important to work somewhere we just feel safe that way.
Mean, it's so important that, because obviously on one side of it, you have to believe in their product or their services and their vision, but on the other side of it, you also need to feel like you're heard and supported, because there's nothing worse than just feeling like you're doing all this work for someone or somewhere that doesn't really care about how you're actually struggling with it. So
no, that's my advice I always give to everyone. It's like, I know it's desperate times, but make sure you're happy where you work.